Welcome back, everyone. I know it's been a while. Andy Gunn here with the Fat Thor podcast here on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. Welcome, TikTok folks, to the Fat Thor podcast. This is a podcast that's been going on for over a year, developed during quarantine from the Fat Thor Lockdown Challenge. It's been a while. I have been super busy doing comedy shows. Let me get this overlay off of here. I've been super busy. I just got back from Las Vegas from doing a 1 week I guess tour you'd call it out there, doing stand-up comedy at the LA Comedy Club, Wise Guys, and numerous other places with the World Series of Comedy. Now, if you know anything about Vegas, there's a ton of stuff to do. Now, this was my first trip to Vegas ever. That's right, first time ever to Vegas. Not to a casino. I like to go gambling. I've been gambling. Those of you that know me, I'm okay at gambling. And pretty much, kind of break even. But I was so busy, I had no time to do really any real fun stuff. Although comedy was fun. Don't get me wrong. But my main thing, I had one day to go do one thing, and that one thing was go visit Zak Bagans' Ghost Adventures Museum. And if you follow Ghost Adventures, you know Zak has been collecting things from all over since he started Ghost Adventures, and even before, of possessed dolls, items, weird things, and that's what he has accumulated, a nice museum of that. And I said, I've got to go. I've been a longtime fan of his. I am kind of a paranormal, not expert, you'd say, but very much open to it. My background, I studied religion and Christian. I'm Christian, and I studied religion for about 6, 7 years, thinking I was going to go in the ministry. Ended up not going in, but that's fine. I ended up studying all kinds of forms of religion all over and how they connect, intersect, all that. I'd had a paranormal experience in my life several times. The first one was when I was 16, in my buddy's kitchen at his house. We'd been staying over there all night, having a little party or whatever. Actually, I was 15. I was 15 because my mom had to come pick me up. I wasn't able to drive. And so I was standing in the kitchen, and I'm looking outside, and it's like a October, November morning. There's like some mist and fog across the backyard because they had a creek down there. And we'd been down there all night. And I looked out there, and the sun was coming up, and I could see full view of everything. And all of a sudden, I saw this guy running across the yard. I'm like, who is this guy? I'm thinking it's a hunter because there's the power lines back there. And if you know anything about hunting, power lines are a great place for deer to congregate and to take out. So I'm thinking it's a hunter because I see a guy with a hat, actually the silhouette of a guy with a hat and a gun and a rifle. And the rifle was sticking out like this. If you're listening to us here on the podcast when I release this on 17 platforms, I apologize, but I could see the muzzle of the rifle. And so I was like, this dude's running through y'all's yard hunting, and that's illegal. So I look over to his mom who's making breakfast. It's just me and her in the kitchen. And I'm standing under the window, and my head is just following this image go across the backyard. And as it goes across, she goes, I'm thinking she's about to say, oh, that's such and such, or that's another daggum hunter, or dadgummit, I got to call the cops. She goes, oh, you see him? And I say, yeah. And she goes, and as I look, she goes, yeah, we see him all the time. I go, and as I'm saying this, I'm watching him. And I look down and I realize I see no feet. No feet. I see a head with a hat. I see a body. I see a rifle. I see no feet. I could literally see no feet. I saw the ground. And this thing is probably a good 25, 30 yards from me. If that, I should be able to see feet. I don't see feet. And she says, yeah. She says, we have ghosts of a Civil War guy or something. And sure enough, that brim was like a Civil War hat with thinking about a rifle. And I'm like, now his mother was known to dabble in the occult and call herself a witch. He had already told us that, and she had already kind of tried to mess with us. But she goes, yeah, and she just smiled. And she goes, is this your first time seeing anything like that? Now, I'd had different experiences being able to kind of sense things, but I never fully saw anything until that day. And it was in the morning, daybreak. And there it was. And she saw it with me. And she confirmed, and I said, I gotta get the heck out of here. Now, I was already up because my mom was coming to get me to take me to a buddy. We were going to go to a college football game, and I couldn't get out of there fast enough. And I just kept it in. I didn't say anything, but I was just like rock. I talked to it to my buddy, and whose house I was at, and he was like, "Yeah, that I don't like that stuff." He goes, "That happens all the time. She's always messing with that stuff," and I'm like, "You don't mess with that stuff." And as I started studying religion, you don't mess with certain things, and the experiences I had. So fast forward, yes, I've always been very interested in the paranormal. They're very interested in the afterlife and very much a student of it. To what is it? What's the reality of it? And all that. And along comes, Ghost Adventures years ago. And I think Zak Bagans did a very good job. And he was kind of one of those ghost hunters I really enjoyed. He put together a good show and went to a lot of places that I wanted to go to and visit and that are deemed very highly paranormal. So he's collected. So now here I am in Vegas. What's the one thing I was like, I got to do this. I got to go see this museum. Now I was real hesitant about it at first because I was like, man, if you know anything about the podcast and you follow the podcast, which I hope you do, we're on 17 different platforms. You know that Justin Bishop Long has been on our show twice now. And Bishop Long, Bishop James Long, excuse me, is has been on Zak Bagans' show. He did an exorcism at Bobby Mack's, which is one of the most haunted places, and Zak Bagans even deems it, and it's been known to be one of the most haunted places on 4 different episodes. And Bishop Long's like, you don't mess with that stuff. And then on the second episode, he came back on. We talked for an hour, almost an hour and a half, an hour 45 minutes. And thanks, guys. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm looking at some TikTok comments, and yes. So he's always, and I asked him if he would go to Zak's museum. He's like, nope, don't care to go there. Not going there. I'm very afraid of what Zak is collecting, the things he's collecting that he's putting together. So I'm going to walk you through step by step, not the whole museum because I don't want to ruin it for anybody. I want you, if you want to go, but I don't want to ruin it. But I've got pictures here. I didn't take these pictures. Now, you're not allowed to take pictures, video, and I turned my phone off. I was very respectful of that. I did all my video stuff. I was like, what I'm about to show you, the pictures I'm going to show you, if you are watching live or if you go to YouTube and watch this, and I'll describe them for those that are listening. I got these off the internet, and they're exactly what I saw. And so I'm going to walk you through what I found the most interesting, what I had the most experience with, and what I felt and what went on before, during, and after the tour. Okay, so here we go. Zak Bagans Haunted Museum, which is in downtown Las Vegas. It was literally probably 6 blocks from my hotel at the Stratosphere. It was just far enough that it was too hot to walk there, so I took an Uber. And I got there, and I asked the Uber guy, I said, hey, man, have you ever been in there? And he's like, nope, and don't plan on going in there. He's like, I don't mess with that stuff, and I ain't going to mess with what's in there. And I was like, fair enough. Fair enough, brother. So those of you on TikTok, you can come over and watch on live on YouTube on the Fat Thor podcast or Facebook at any time. And if you're listening on Spotify or any of the other 17 platforms, thank you. Oh, I don't want to forget my Venture Roofing here in Atlanta, Georgia. They're our sponsors. Give them a call if you need a roof. If you got any roofing needs. So there you go. I'm a little out of order. I'm excited about getting into this. So Zak Bagans Haunted Museum, downtown Las Vegas. Now, when you go in there, I had paid for the general admission, which was $49. I thought that was a fair deal. Come to find out, it's a 2-hour tour. Okay, 2-hour tour. So be ready. I'd heard it was 2 hours, and I had read it was an hour. So I get there, and they're like, it's 2. I'm like, okay, we're going to get our money's worth. It's 6 o'clock in Vegas time. And everybody in our group, now I get in this first group, and I am number 13. And the guy goes, we take groups of 12 only. I'm like, fair enough. I wouldn't take 13 in there either. I'll wait. So I was number 13. So I was number 1 of this next group. Excuse me. I went down the wrong way. My voice is starting trying to get back to normal from that dry air and me doing a lot of comedy shows and talking. So forgive me if I smack or cough. So I'm the first one of the next group. I start recording a video outside. They say I can record any videos I want to outside, take any pictures outside, but none are allowed inside. No problem. Start recording. As I'm recording, I'm watching this video that they're playing outside, and I'm doing a little quick video. And for whatever reason, I decided to stop it. And I don't know why or what. I just hit stop. And I had no reason to stop because I was in mid-record for the podcast for a promo. And I hit it, and as soon as I hit the button, it stopped and said, the timer said stopped 13, which means 13 seconds. I'm like, I'm only 13 seconds into this, and I couldn't stop it on 13 again to save my life. Couldn't stop it on 13 seconds again if I had to try to do it or bet to do it. So now here's 13 twice. I'm like, kind of weird, funny, haha. So I'm like, okay, 13 showed up twice now in the first 5 minutes I've been here. Kind of weird. So we get in line, we go, and they said, hey, are you one of the RIPs? Now, the RIPs basically get you extra access in the museum to certain things. One being the basement where the demonic rituals went on in that house that Jenna Jameson and numerous others have confirmed that went on. And that's if you watch the episodes that Aaron went down and had very weird and very profound experiences in. You also get to go up to the Devil's Rocking Chair, which I'll get to that in a minute. You get to literally walk up to it. You don't get to touch it, but you get to walk up to it. And a few other things. And I'll go through that as I'm going. And then you get a t-shirt. So it's $33 more. Up to you if you want to do it or not. I was the only odd man out, so I went ahead and did it. And sure, I was going to buy a t-shirt anyway. Since the $33 got me the shirt, why not? And extra access. So let's do it. So I go in, and as I enter in, they tell you all the rules, and you sign all these waivers. The waivers are in the agreements or your image. You can be used in any episode at any time. You know, you're signing over your whole image and everything to be used if something. And there are cameras everywhere, and I would have cameras everywhere in there too with the museum they have. But they're also recording you for maybe activity or future episodes. So. And I know this going in, so that's where I wore the Fat Thor podcast shirt. So everywhere you see me in the museum, it's got the Fat Thor podcast logo. They might blur it out, but I'm still giving it a shot. So I get there, and the lady lets us in. Now, as I walk in, and I am the first person in our group, and first person in line, because everybody else came with somebody. And I walk in, and as soon as I hit that door, and I was fine. I was happy. I was excited. I was positive at that moment. And I walked in, and as soon as I walked in that hallway to go left to the first room, it was like a 50-pound bag or vest or coat just sat on me. And I don't know why. And it was like, this is weird. And it was just it was a weird feeling. Now, when you went in, they were like, hey, how you doing? We're going to go in the first room. It wasn't like, they're trying to scare you. Nothing like that. It was like, welcome to the museum. We're going to go to a tour. Please walk in the hallway. Don't touch anything. You can get up close to stuff. Just don't touch it. You can ask questions. We'll give you, the stories, the background. Here you go. Please take the left. Walk into the first room. I couldn't even get into the first room. As soon as I hit the hallway, it was like, a lead weight. Now, as I walk in, I'm just like, I got this weird feeling, and I don't get panicked or rattled very easily. And as I walk in, I just kept feeling like this pressure, just pushing down, pushing down, pushing down. And it was like sad, but, weird and like not invasive, but encompassing of you. And I was like, I don't like this. This is weird. This is weird. And this is before I know anything's in this room. So we walk in this room and they're telling us what's all in the room. They get to this case, and apparently, Anton LaVey, the king or the founder and high priest of the Satanic Church, had items in there and a book in there and a Bible and all this stuff that Zach had. Now, I'm not saying that's where it came from, but before she said anything, I'm just starting to feel like I don't want to be here. I give a damn about this $88 I just spent, or 80, 88 bucks or 78 bucks I just spent. And I'm like, no, Andy, get through this, go through this. You're just being stupid. And so I'm passing it off like, you're just being stupid. Now, also, folks, I'm outside. If you hear any birds, dogs, or anything, I apologize. I'm doing this outside next to my pool because I wanted something happy and positive, and I didn't want to be in my studio. And we'll get to that in a minute. And so we're in there, and this is where the infamous doll room is, and the doll closet that Zach has with all the dolls that he's collected. Not all of them, but most of them, and one very active one, supposedly that's in that you're not supposed to look in the house and all this. That I don't think had anything to do with it, because I went into that room. Now, being an RIP, I got to walk into that closet with those dolls by myself. They didn't bother me. There was no feelings in there. There was no issues in there. There was no experience in there. I looked that one doll in the eye. I'm like, meh. I mean, I stayed in there for a good 2-3 minutes because I was like, okay, and I back into that room, still feeling this weighted down, weird feeling, and then like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. And then there's the other side of my head going, "You dummy, just get through this. It's going." And in my head, I'm going, "This is going to be the longest 2 hours of my life," just like this podcast is about to be. So, and I said, "I'm going to step out of this room into the hallway," and I didn't want to get too far away from Lee, but I'm just like, I'm not. And you can watch it on the cameras if they're watching, and I'm feeling weird, and I'm like, man, and I look at the front door. See the front door, and as I'm looking at the front door, I get vaguely. I just got an alert. Something's dying. What's dying? Hold on. Sorry, I'm making sure everything's plugged in. I just got an alert on something. Hold on. I don't want this. Oh, yeah. I need to plug that in. We can't unedit this. All right, hold on, Bucks. Hold on. I gotta. Dadgummit. Boy, I'm the dummy. Okay. All right, we're back. We have power back. I was about to lose my feed. Sorry, I guess we'll just be putting this up on YouTube. Welcome everybody from TikTok. We lost all our TikTok people. Oh well. Anyways. So here I am. I'm looking at the front door of the museum, and I just get this like weird fuzz. Now I went in this thing totally sober, folks. I had nothing to drink that day. Didn't smoke anything. Didn't do nothing. Didn't take nothing. Totally sober. And all of a sudden, I just got like real lightheaded and woozy and like this dizzy feeling. Oh, I forgot to put up the banner. You can tell it's been a while. I'm out of practice here on the podcast. I should have probably done a test run. Banners. There we are. Bum, 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 bum. And the banners are here for me, folks, to keep me on track. So not so much for you to watch, just for me to get keep on track. Okay, goes museum, entry and warning. Okay. And I literally had this feeling of grab that door, open the door, get the hell out of the museum. Now, I've not been in this museum no more than 10 minutes, if that. And I'm already looking at the door and something saying, get the heck out of this. Get out. Go. Hit the door running. Don't look back. Screw the $83 you spent. I didn't. I fought it. I stayed. But it was there. Now we move on to the next room, which is this Western room. We walk in there, and it kind of goes away a little bit. It goes away a little bit. They got some stuff in there with Jesse James and things like that. It's pretty cool. Interesting to see. This goes away a little bit, but it's still kind of there. We leave that room. We hit the hallway again. And there it is, even heavier than it was before. Now, at this point, I come out of that Western room and we're going down the hall to the Oddfellows room. Now, the Oddfellows room is actually the chapel in Zak's museum, which if you watch one of the episodes where he had the devil's rocking chair in there and it started rocking on its own, he has a very fascination with the Oddfellows. Now, I'm going to show you a picture if you're watching here of that room, and you've probably seen it on the episode. And here's what it looks like. And I'm standing in there, and if you can see the picture, there's some stained glass, and my back goes up to the stained glass, and there's these two coffins with skeletons laying in the middle of the room, and not chairs like you see here on this picture. And those are skeletons of the Oddfellows, and the Oddfellows was a group that you can look them up and follow Zak. I'm not going to go all the detail, but the skeletons were real skeletons. There were skulls on the wall that they used to stare into and do all this ritual stuff, and they would bury people in the walls and the floors of their halls there. And so we do this. So there's a little black door to the left, if you can see in this picture, and that door is an encased hallway with no lights that you can crawl into the next room. Being an RIP, you can do it. It's tight, it's dark, and once you start crawling down it, you can't come back out. You can't go backwards. So I went through it. Wasn't that big of a deal. Wasn't that? Now, at this point, I'm in that Oddfellows room, feeling very, I guess, suppressed is the word for it. The heaviness. Now I'm starting to feel a weird pain under my right rib cage. And I don't know what this is. It's a weird little sharp pain. Like, not a gas pain, but just a weird little pain. And it starts to get more like it's a needle or a knife, or more of a needle, like going in through my back, like into the back of my lung and out my lung, like at an angle. Like, weird. Doesn't hit me until I get into the next room, which I crawl through that thing from the Oddfellows room and pop and come into the puppet room. Now, in the puppet room, they have all these puppets, these weird little puppets, like from like 100 years ago, that are crazy, not friendly, fun looking kind of things, big noses and chins and things. And as soon as I got into there, that pain was like rocketing out from under my right boob. I don't call them pecs anymore, I call them boobs. And I'm like this. I'm like holding myself. It doesn't hurt to breathe. It's not anything with my breath. It's not anything gastric. It's just there. It's in there. And it's not releasing. I'm stretching, and I'm like, oh, I'm doing this, and I'm holding like this. I'm feeling it, and I'm feeling that suppressed feeling in the museum and in this room, and it is the craziest thing, and it's just constantly getting tighter, constantly getting sharper, constantly just elevating, but not like but like in a very slow way. Like, as I would go forward, it would just more and more and more. Now I take a deep breath. I'm like, this is just all in my head. We go across the hall to the next room. Now the next room, we already went to the dark tunnel, the puppet room. We go into the Bunny Ranch room. Now, if you know what Zak Bagans has collected there, Zak has collected from the Bunny Ranch. The Bunny Ranch was an infamous brothel in Nevada, ran by Dennis Hoff for many years. It was they had an HBO thing that followed the day-to-day life of dudes coming and banging prostitutes. And he was very well known, and that show elevated him a lot of money, and a lot of people. And if you know anything about it, Lamar Odom died in one of his beds after paying $75,000 to have a party weekend. Now, he claims Dennis Hoff was trying to kill him. But as we know, Lamar Odom died of an overdose in one of his beds. That bed would later go on to be used by Dennis, and Dennis died in this bed. So Dennis keeps the bed. Dennis then uses the bed up until his death when he has a heart attack some years later. Zak has everything in that room, including the bed, because it was all sold off and the body ranch was torn down by Dennis's wife. This didn't bother me none, but going back to that sharp feeling, it was still there. This weird, like, I don't want to be here. This is stuff that interests the heck out of me. And it's like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to, I want to leave. How do I get out of here? And it was just constantly like, how do I get out of this place? How do I just go ahead and drop and run, and not run, but just go? Like, should be cool things. These are things I've watched on TV. I'm like, I want to go see that. That'd be cool. That'd be interesting. It's not at this point. It is like just depressing and just like, oh, like, this isn't what I thought. So we get it, but it's very cool. It's very interesting, and not cool. It's very interesting. So we go from that room, and then you go to this next room, which is Dr. Kevorkian's office. He's got his desk, and if you know anything, he has Dr. Kevorkian's van. So let me pull that picture up if you're watching this on Facebook or whatever. So, oh yeah, I have a picture of the bedroom too. Don't I have a picture of the bedroom? Hold on. No, I don't. But the van. This is Dr. Kevorkian's van that he actually used to help assisted suicide back in the 90s. It was a very big thing. I remember it as a kid, as a teenager, and he ended up being convicted because he actually helped somebody because they would do it themselves. And then one time he actually helped somebody because they couldn't because they were paraplegic or something. So he actually pushed the button. So they got him for killing, even though they signed all this paper. So as I walk into the Kevorkian thing, the sharp pain, the pressure, the ominous weight that is on me, by this point, I'm sweating. I'm not myself. Kind of goes away. It goes away. I'm like, oh, thank God. And by this time, I am away from the front room, down the hall, halfway down this hall, towards this basement area, and towards the prison cell area, which the prison cell area, if you know anything about Zak, he's collected everything from Charles Manson's ashes, clothing, several serial killer stuff, paintings, shirts, clothing, things like that, all in this room. And some has been documented saying people had experiences with this stuff and all that. So I'm in this room. I kind of decompress a little, releases a little, the pain goes away, and it finally just dissipates. Now, at this point on the tour, we leave the prison room and go down the hall towards the basement. Now, the only way you can get into the basement is by paying the RIP to go down to where satanic rituals, and it's all documented, where Jenna Jameson reached out to Zak Bagans and said, hey, my brother remembers rituals going on down there with my brother and some little boys and possibly sacrificial things going on, yada, yada. It's been documented on his show. Here's the doll. Here's the doll picture of the doll closet. I forgot I had that. And of course, my dumb self goes, well, I'm going to go down there. And I was the first one down there. And you go down there, and there's a giant pentagram on the floor. There is a box. Now, they said when you go down there, there's a box on the wall. If you know anything about the boxes, not the EMF detector, but the voice boxes, where it has a stagnant noise and you can supposedly hear voices, and that's how um, ghosts or demons or whatever communicate with you, or you can hear their words. And they said it's on the wall, it's on, and you can hear it as you're going down the hall in the basement, because you go down the hall, you take a right, and you take a left, and there's this tunnel, and you walk down it. And as you walk down it and then turn the corner, all these candles are lit. It's a black room. There's a pentagram on the floor. There's all this stuff, and there's the boxes going. I don't know if it's fake. I don't know if it's real. I don't know if it's just an over thing. I'm assuming the box is real, and it's a real one, because when I walked in there, I was by myself. There was a lady probably about 25 feet away from me, way back in the back. She was hesitant. I was up by myself in the room, and I hear this voice go dead man, and then I heard all this back again, and then I just stood there. And the lady told us, she goes, walk around the pentagram, go in a circle, and come back. Now, if you know anything about rituals and religion stuff, you don't walk the circle of the pentagram and close the circle. You don't do that. You close the circle if you're putting salt down, but you don't walk around the pentagram. Come on, what kind of dummy do you think I am? So I'm standing there halfway, and a lady goes, go. And I said, I'm not going any further. She's like, why? I said, I'm not circling this pentagram. I'm not walking in a circle. I'm not doing anything. I just wanted to see it, lay my eyes on it, see how I felt. I don't like being here, and by this time I'm hearing something talk to me, like go, leave, and it sounds like 3 or 4 different people. I don't know if it was them. I don't know who it was. There was nobody to my right. I'm not saying it was a ghost. I'm not saying it was anything. All I know is, and I said, I gotta go. And like, guess what? And I literally stepped left over where I had walked exactly back where I had walked, the path I took, and went straight back through that path, through the entire line of people, and down the hall, and said, I'm out. I said, I'm done. I'm out of here. Don't want to be here. Gone. And went back upstairs. Now, at this point, the pressure has left. The pain that I was feeling has left, because it's on camera through their museum that I was holding my chest through the whole thing. It's all documented, because there are cameras in that place everywhere. Who said salt? Yes, salt. Oh, yes, salt, 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 salt. Oh, trust me. Anyways, I didn't have any salt on me. But at this point, I'm like, okay, I need to start doing something, uh, just for protection. So I started saying some things. By the way, here's a picture of the museum. This is where you go in the front door. The front door is right here. This is that red door. That's where I went in and went to the lobby, went into the room. So I forgot the place that I just wanted to get into this stuff. So we go through this. Now, he's collected Ed Gein's cauldron. I don't know if you know who Ed Gein is. Ed Gein is a famous person, or serial killer, you would call, who in The Silence of the Lambs, the character was based off of him, and where he skinned and rebuilt his mother out of dead women's skin. He made a nipple belt, a belt out of nipples. He would dig up women and skin them and tan their hides. And he even killed some people, some ladies, and gutted them like a deer upside down, and let all their guts and everything, the blood, into the cauldron. And he has that cauldron. I stood there. I saw it. It is a massive massive cauldron, and they're like, the stains and all the stuff that you see here, inside it, which when you look inside, it is stained. You're like, that's the blood, and because it's never been cleaned. And anyways, but it was outside on a Mother of God.